Oh, it's going. Fine. I don't see that one. Let's minimize.
Read the notes.
Okay, that's fine. So, hello, thank you for the invitation. I'm David Rosewarne. I'm a chest and head and neck radiologist at New Cross Hospital in Wolverhampton. So I think a fair bit of what I say will be familiar. The issues that we face are pretty much the same wherever. So I hope to give a little bit of a kind of local flavour for my, I guess, personal struggle against the system. It's been a long process so far, and it's by no means at the end of the journey, even as far as the implementation of a single model. But here we go. So I've moved the. Okay. So next slide.
Click on that side. On that side.
Go on.
So like if you click on yours and then click on that one as well. On the screen. Yeah.
I beg Google. Yeah. So well, I guess in short, the NHS is broke. We know that. The NHS is stretched on pretty much every front, including the workforce. I mean, we're all heads down, just trying to do the day job without too much thinking about moving forward in innovation. So it's challenging from the point of view of getting workforce involved in taking these forward. I would say the NHS digital environment is still quite immature, really, in many ways. I mean, certainly as in my hospital, we lack a lot of basic stuff, interoperability, single sign-on, and a lot of places don't have a full EPR. These are big issues for digital health, and maybe AI is a step beyond those that we're not quite ready for. I mean, I say in summary, it's very, very challenging all round, isn't it? I've chosen a bad platform, I think.
That's have to keep it on.
Okay.
Small on your screen.
Okay, fine. So, and not everyone is sold on AI. I mean, here's a very recent offering in European radiology, which is, the emperor has few clothes. I mean, opinion is divided. Some people say the emperor has no clothes. Some say it has a few clothes. Some say he's better dressed. So that's to some degree depends on where you come from. And there are many actors in a radiology play. Don't worry.
I'll stay there.
Okay, I'll say next. So we've got about 10 groups of people involved, many of whom we've heard of today. So radiologists, clinicians, radiology management, hospital management, maybe innovations committees, IG, cybersecurity, procurement, the AI provider. That's a lot of people, each within that group. There may be 10 or 20 or more people. So you get involved with a lot of people very quickly. Probably for a lot of people who are starting out in AI, they might have interacted with very few of those groups in the past. So we've all dealt with radiologists, clinicians, and radiology management, but some of the other kind of groups of staff are people that we haven't come across before so much, and we don't have personal relationships with them. So it's a matter of relationship building within those groups. And not all actors in those groups are actually helpful to you. So one obviously wants to choose actors who are acting in your interest, but obviously there are some groups who just can't be got around. You can't get around cybersecurity. You can't get around IG. So one definitely has to engage with some of those groups and choose your friends in the others.
If you just click on, you can click on that instrument.
Yeah.
That's sort of what you just go.
Okay, so at my hospital, our tale starts nearly 3 years ago. So I work in a hospital without a particular AI providence. And I have to say I was an AI skeptic before I started, although comprehensive chest radiograph AI caught my eye by serendipity, partly as I trained with someone who was deeply involved in the development of that product. So I was convinced of the product value by the presentations given by the company, by their published evidence, and actually by trying their web demo, because there's nothing that convinces you by actually putting up a case of someone who's had a chest radiograph perhaps 18 months prior and then is presented with metastatic lung cancer, who then when you load up their chest radiograph from 18 months ago, actually there's a lung cancer there. And that patient would have been given the opportunity of curative surgery 18 months ago. And after you've seen one of those, you can't say, oh, that's a good spot. But when you see the next one and the next one, you kind of think, this is something which actually is actually a useful clinical tool. So I was actually personally no doubt of the clinical value of the product. And like other presenters today, the idea was to integrate the model into the optimum lung cancer pathway to accelerate the requesting of CT by highlighting possible lung cancers. And I guess when you're talking to people about this, the clinical value is clearer than the financial benefit. I mean, the cost of missing a lung cancer, well, they are, I guess, litigation against the trust. That's very infrequent. I'm not sure what payouts we've made for missed lung cancers. I think it's fair to say that as doctors, we would think it's the right thing to do to detect lung cancer more reliably. I think it's true that we've known for a long time that the missing of lung cancers is actually a thing which is tragic and not that uncommon, really. I think it's certainly true that most radiologists, if they had their chest radiograph taken in a hospital, they wouldn't leave it to just their colleague to report it. I think most people would have a look at the chest radiograph. So I think certainly going forward, I think the position will be that it'll become unethical, I think, to allow a single opinion on a chest radiograph, and we're certainly not going to have two radiologists looking at every chest radiograph. So on the productivity side, the kind of thing that managers like, well, there are possible gains in reporting throughput, but as we've also alluded to, that's kind of locale dependent. If your chest radiographs are reported by consultant radiologists who are taking maybe 30 seconds per chest radiograph and to make their opinion or less, and then getting a report down very quickly and doing it reliably, well, that's a condition in which people don't want to be diverted by false positives. But I guess our reporting base is very different. We've got most of our chest radiographs being reported by reporting radiographers, and they have really quite variable productivities. I think they fear making mistakes. They fear being held to account for things, and that makes some of them slow in authorising reports. And we get productivity figures which can be down as low as 30 films per session. So I think that's much lower than consultant radiologists would accept. But it's born out of I guess a lack of confidence a lot of the time. Next slide. Yep. Yeah, so moving on to summer of 2022. So the same vendor happened to announce their intent to release a brain CT model. And you know, in that case, I saw there was really a strong potential financial case to be made for complementing the chest radiograph model by a brain model. So we spend £30 million a year on outsourced reports, about 10 per night, and I think it's, you know, it becomes like it does become like a tick box exercise often in ED, you know, a bit of confusion, a little kind of bump on the head on warfarin, those kind of things. You've got a lot of well patients who are having head CTs, and certainly the hyper urgent reporting them is not of great clinical value. So certainly in my hospital 10 years ago, actually the clinicians were responsible for the heads overnight, and we reported those during the daytime. It's been a change which has been partly driven by educational deaneries, that we must have a brain CTs all reported, and that's not without cost. So I think initially it would have been done by the registrars, but the volumes have grown so much we've moved towards outsourcing, and outsourcing has very significant costs associated with it. So the question is, could we in principle think about triaging heads with AI? And you know, there's a synergy between the two models there. One has probably the greater clinical benefit. I would say the lung cancer is possibly the greater clinical benefit, but actually the financial benefits are much greater through avoiding potentially outsourcing of CT brain reports overnight. So that sort of proposal was supported by both the department that I work in and also by the divisional management. So obviously the pathway is not straightforward. The problem came across really that the divisional management felt unable to proceed contractually because procurement raised the fear of the challenge from another provider. In the spring of 2023, after we'd been delaying for a long time, I went to see the chief executive, David Lawton, who is about to retire, but he's the longest serving chief executive of the NHS. I think he's been at New Cross for about 30 years. And he's a man who doesn't lack confidence, I would say, in his judgment. It didn't take him long to say that he thought it was the right thing to do, to sign on the form there. So an agreement to proceed was signed. So we have a link on the paper, title of the talk, but it hasn't necessarily been plain sailing from there. So we had regular meetings with our AI provider. And still things you know, going a bit slowly. So lack of radiology management capacity was really sort of part of the problem, keeping the project moving on forward. Radiologists are pretty busy, so we haven't got time to chase absolutely everything. We've also got a PACS replacement doing concurrently, which is more important globally than a single AI project. There remained the project governance to do, but we were fortunate in finding from somewhere, I don't know where, a really good project manager. So he's looking after all our PACS stuff, and the AI project is coming in under his hat as well. So you know, that's a very useful resource that we didn't have previously, and makes a lot of difference. So it was invaluable to have someone driving it forward on a weekly basis. And progress between autumn 2023 and now, well, actually by now I would have hoped that we would have had the models in and running for a few months, but things don't move as quickly as you would wish. We have regular meetings with the IA provider, and a lot of the time has been spent in fielding a series of IG kind of queries and clarifications. So, I think we've got a lack of IG AI expertise in our department. We're like many people who haven't really done it before, so we're finding our way as we go. We've also got a long trail of DPIAs in the hospital, and again, that's a capacity issue which I think is faced by many departments. I think there is something about the term artificial intelligence which adds a special soupçon of difficulty to these processes. And we've had, I guess, what I would say is months of what, frustratingly from our side, seems unnecessary delay. I think there's a lot of reinvention of DPIAs. They're done over and over again. They're all pretty much the same. I think I would have been amazed if our department or if our hospital had landed a killer question that brought down a product which has been installed in at least 100 places globally. I would have been amazed. I think the greater risk actually is cybersecurity, but there's not a single chance of our trust unearthing a significant underlying cybersecurity problem. I mean, that is for the vendors to worry about, and for them to have their expensive penetration testing on their models. So these are things which people are acting with the best intentions, but they don't have the global view, and they don't have the kind of balance of risk that's necessary to actually get the job done. So we lost a window of opportunity with the vendor to exploit their resources, and we'll pay the price for that now in terms of delay, because we're now competing with other departments for their resources. Okay, so procurement-wise, well, just going over these. Main features again. I don't know why it doesn't. Yeah. So clearly, procurement was said to be a problem, but I don't think taking a free trial counts as procurement. And certainly, our chief executive was sanguine about that. I think information governance-wise. Well, as I say, I think it's the balance. It's the balance of risk. Patients are dying of poor care across the NHS every day, but there are very few actual recorded instances of patients coming to IG harm. And I think it's true. In my many discussions with clinicians, I haven't yet met a clinician who thinks the IG balance is right. We are completely nobbled by IG, and I think that needs to change. I think we do need transportability of IG cases. DPIAs should just be essentially done properly once, and then passported through to other departments. So, to me, I would say that the parable of the camel, rich man, heaven, eye of needle, is sort of valid in this case. I think we've got an elephant, which we have to get through a sequence of 3 eyes of the needle, so business case, IG, and procurement through to the kingdom of AI. That's probably given you a warning about the right place to finish all again.
Perfect.